Hey folks, welcome to Stream Friends, and we are carrying on today with a bit more development. And we are looking at our inventory and trashing items basically. So, this is what we have at the moment, and with that in mind, excuse me 1 second. Okay, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. And with that in mind, this is what we've done so far. Okay, we have got our warehouse, or that needs to change. That probably needs to change to on hand. Right? And we're going to need to change this, basically this into a scroll box. And we're going to have the trash can at the bottom of this. Okay, now I have got it working. I can give you an example. So you can see here, we can grab the iron sheet, drag it in, and it's gone. Okay, so we have our drag and drop working. Again, drag it, drop it, and that is absolutely fine. Excuse me a second, guys. Once again, my better half is out looking for a shower curtain. Okay, Once again, I apologise, but we can see here that our drag and drop is working, and that's very good, but we need to format our widget better. Okay, now the way I propose we do that is, first of all, we make it a bit bigger. Okay, so as I like to call this, and because I'm not brilliant at widgets, although I can get the end result normally that I want, so we're going to do offset 100, offset 100. So now we've done that, actually we might go 125 and 125. That's going to give us another 150 pixels, and this isn't going to be that size. Okay, so we should have more space here, but we want this basically in here. Then both of these are going to have to be in a scroll box, and we shall take it from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to split this up. Well, I'll tell you what, first of all, we're going to take a look to see how that looks with the change. And yep, that's looking a bit better. But we'll also see, what we probably want to do here is get 3 items per row. Right, we want 3 rows showing at any one time. Okay, now what we might have to do here is actually split this into a widget switcher, right? And or this one as well, okay? But we're gonna have to do some major widget wrangling, as I like to call it, to get this how we want it to look as a final product. So we're going to close this for now, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. Okay, we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to call it copy, so that if anything goes disastrously wrong, we can refer back. Okay? Okay, so let's start this off where we are. And we have our canvas panel here. We have our, obviously have our thing here, and now we have a uniform grid with 2 boxes. Okay, and in this box we have our in hand, then we have our GP inventory, and in actual fact our trash can should go in here. Okay, so that is our first change. Okay, now we're going to do this slowly, okay, so that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing and exactly basically the reasons for doing it this way. And we can take it from there. Now, can you guys let me know if there's a problem with the stream? Right, I just need to refresh that there. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of checking back and forward, but sometimes it takes that. Right, so that's good. Okay, we're okay with that so far. But what we want to do now is we actually probably want to end up putting it or wrapping it in a canvas panel so that we can better control its position. See how that's not moving? Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in a canvas panel. And now what we can do, hopefully, is drag this to the bottom right. Okay. And then we probably need these. Okay, but we'll work with it and we'll see what we've got. As I said, this is when I call it widget wrangling, because basically I'm just trying to get it to work in some way. Now that's actually okay, except it's kind of not. Okay, so in here, or actually probably in here, we probably want to size it to content. Now in our trash, what we're going to do is we're going to say 75, 75, and we'll see if that makes any difference. Interesting. And this is going to be 75, 75, and we're going to do this as an image, and we're going to do this as an image, and this is going to be 75, this is going to be 75, and we'll do this as an image. We'll stop that, save it, run it, then we'll check it. to see if we're getting the right sizes here, and that is looking good. Okay, so we're looking good here if we can get this to the bottom, right? So our next task here, oh, by the way, if anybody wants me to go over the drag and drop stuff, then just ask and I'll have a look and go over that for you guys. Right, so the next thing we need to do is in our GP, we need to basically wrap this with a canvas panel, and then our GP inventory is going to have to be a certain size. Okay, and we're going to have to do the same on the crafting side. So our crafting is going to have to be wrapped with a canvas panel. And it's going to have to be fill as well. Then X was 500 and Y was 400. Right, and in fact we can make that 500. And then this canvas panel is going to be wrapped with a scroll box, right? And that scroll box we are going to have to show we're going to set it to visible. Okay, and then in our crafting canvas panel we're going to wrap that with a scroll box, and again we're going to have to be visible. We're going to be visible to start with, so that we can see what's going on. Right? And apparently we don't have a scroll bar. Okay. always show. Always show scroll bar, always show scroll bar track. That sounds about right. Always show scroll bar. We should be able to check it now. Then we can have a look at our and there we have it. And we can actually see that these are slightly bigger than these. Right? I believe these are. It's either that or the width of that is slightly different. Right. So we definitely typed in the same numbers. Size X, right? So that would suggest, right, that our crafting items are bigger than our inventory items. So let's have a look at that, shall we? $75. Okay. That's 75 as well. But I can only assume that we've got a little bit of a border on that, and we have. Whereas we don't have a border on the other one. Ah, but hang on a second. That isn't actually the right item. It should be this one. And again, it looks like we've got a slight border on this. $75. If we look at inventory item, that's got 2 all around. So we'll go back to here. And we'll go 2 all around. And that actually might even be enough to do it. Not quite. Right, but that's because that is a big huge name. Right. Interesting. Interesting thing is, because if I do that, right, it's going to push this one out as well. So that basically says to me that these two are going to have to be $5.50 a piece. And now that we've done that, our trash can we knock it to there. And in fact, if we knock it to there, and we can make this slightly bigger. And now that'll look a lot better. Okay, let's test this out, shall we? Everything should be better aligned. We're also going to have, yep, I am happy with that. Definitely. And the thing is, we need we need this to be a bit bigger. So we can knock it to 100. That'll give us just a bit more space. And then this, I think we should push it right down. So if we say 550, that's probably okay. Then this one, if we do the same, so that's going to be 475. Yeah. Yeah, I can live with that. So yep, I'm going to live with that. So if we craft a copper wire, yep, and craft a widget and a new thing, and one of them and one of them. Right. And this is looking pretty good, I'd say. you can see there. And then we can drag this into here. And there it goes. And that works beautifully. Right. I'm happy with that. Hope you guys like that. And now I need to think of something to actually work on next. Because, okay, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go over what I had to do to get the drag and drop working, okay? But before I do that, I'm going to go and grab a quick drink and I shall be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, we're back and now what we want to take a look at is how we actually done this. Okay, so if we take a look at the graph, we have our overrides, so not in there and not in there either, but we do have some overrides. And if we look at our on mouse down, it is actually on our inventory item, right? We have our overrides, right? So we have our on mouse down, and what we did, we've got an on mouse down for our right mouse button, right? But if we're dragging and dropping, we need it for our left mouse button. Okay, and basically this fires a drag event. So we then come into our drag event, we create our drag widget, then we create a drag drop operation, right? And the payload in this case is the widget itself, and that's because it stores the actual product struct. Okay, and now if we look at the trash widget and we go to the graph, we do our override on drop. Okay, so when we do our override on drop, we basically get a reference to our controller, then this is the payload, which is the inventory item widget, and then we pull off the struct products, and we use the controller remove item from inventory and just basically plug in our struct and the reference to our controller, and we call it good. And that is drag and drop. Okay, and we didn't need to use any other things for this. It was fairly straightforward. So from there, what are we going to look at next is the question, because we can now get rid of stuff that we don't need by just dragging and dropping in here, as you can see. And there you go. Drag and drop in Unreal Engine. So we can close that, and everything else is working. And the thing I was going to do last night, I didn't actually get working, which was basically the, what do you call it? The materials. Right? And I don't know why they're not working, but it's all to do with reflections, and nothing I seemed to do was actually affecting it in a way that I wanted. So What was I going to do here? Oh yeah, I was going to go back to maps. And we're going to go into this map here. Well, this is our map. And we were basically going to move our rocket and our launcher. Right. So there we go. We can save that. And I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll actually go into those textures for our sheets, wherever they are. I think it's in is it in meshes? Apparently not. I think it's in models. Yep. Right, so it's this. Oh, this is copper pipes. This is the copper pipes and the copper. Interesting. Right, so if we want to find these, then we should really move them once we get them. But we can look at recipes and DT items, and we can go to there. Right, and just for a laugh, right? These are super bizarre. Instance meshes. Okay, so that's that one, right? And let's go to iron, and let's change this one. Right, we'll just make it some weird color. Right, in fact, we'll just go with that. Right. Then we'll take this away, and we'll just leave the normal there. And then we'll try this again, and I'll bet you this doesn't bloomin' work right, okay? Right, so we need to go to maps again and load up main menu. Press play, continue, and we need to wait till these are active. And this is where I scream, I don't get this. I don't know why it's doing this. We've also changed this icon here. And don't know if these are going to go in here. Yeah, they will. I'm going to say they will. Right, so this should be a bright blue colour when these come out. Right, we can speed this up. That is just bizarre. Right, we're going to try something else. And I'm going to see if this has anything to do with the fact that this is a new game, or if it was a save game that was all weird. Right, I don't think so, but we need to eliminate that possibility. Right, so we're going to try this out, and there we go. We want that. We want that. We want that. And that's bauxite, so that's good. So we can save that. There we go. Look at that, it's not any difference whatsoever. I was saying to you guys before, I don't understand that particular problem. Really weird, really weird. I mean, the only thing I can think of, right, we're going to need to open this up again. The only thing that I can think of is right, that's just a volume. And I haven't done anything with that. And the only other thing I can think of is there's something in this skylight right, so what I'm going to do so what I'm thinking here is this setting here, these settings here is what is giving me problems. Now if I click that, and if we go back to here, press play, I'm thinking that the thing that is causing us the biggest issue is the skylight, because it's reflecting everything when I don't want it to be so reflective. But I've not got enough experience with messing around with the skylight to know what settings it is I need to set. So that's a bit of an issue. So we'll speed this up. And it's still done nothing. Any of you guys in chat know anything about it, feel free to let me know, because I am stumped at this point as to why the materials on that thing just don't seem to want to change. Right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back to the way it should be. Right? Because if we do get the answer here, then the answer is going to have to affect the real material. And also we're going to be having a look at this. So that should be going in there, and that should be going to metallic. Save that. And we'll see how this goes. Right, well, these shaders are compiling, guys. If you don't mind helping me out, hit the like button and subscribe. That would be great. And let's see how this goes. In fact, while the shaders are compiling, I'm going to grab a cigarette. I should be back in a minute. And by then, the shaders should have compiled and we'll be ready to go again. Okay, don't go anywhere, guys. Alright guys, we're back, and let's have a little fool about the skylight, shall we? And I think the best way to do this is something I was playing with last night, which was to actually bring in a copper sheet. And actually, funnily enough, what we should do is bring in these as well. And you'll notice how these look okay. Except that skylight, or at least I think it's a skylight, is really, really intense. So there is something right, so that's at 150,000, right? And that doesn't seem to do anything. So we'll turn that back up. And we'll just muck about with these values. And that doesn't seem to do very much. And back to the skylight, of course. And those don't seem to be doing anything. Right, so I mean, these don't seem to be doing anything at all. Okay. So if we go to the skylight again, and we're going to go for like an orangey type orange, and we'll turn that back to 1. Right, so that does seem to do something. Right, but our main thing here that was causing the light and all the interesting stuff going on so if we go for 0.5, or 1. Right, so that's looking okay, and we're not getting any sort of light bouncing around everywhere. But what we want to look at is our what we want to look at is our copper sheet and our other sheet. Right, which is these two here. Strange thing is that's the iron sheet. I would expected that to be slightly different. As I said, this is really weird. That's the iron, and it still appears to me, right, whichever way you slice it, that we're not getting a like neutral lighting system. Right, because if we look at this, right, look at the iron texture, it's grey. Right, but for whatever reason, it ain't doing it. Right, so we turn that to post-process, it does absolutely jack. We go back to surface. And that basically doesn't do anything. Turn that off. And I've got no idea at the moment what the problem is here. This scattering thing. Right, we'll turn that off. We're using it with an instance mesh, even though right, you see we've got this colour back, but it seems to be the colour is inferred from the surroundings, which is okay, but it's really not what we want. And still, our copper just doesn't want to know. Now the interesting thing is, if we do that, then we kind of get our coppery thing. And this again seems to be doing the reflection thing. Okay, let me do something quick here. I want to try something. What I'm thinking here is, if we get our sky thing, let's type in sky. And that's not what it's called. It's our star sphere. Okay. So what I'm thinking here is, if we do that, right, we do see them now, right? But if we turn on our skylight thing, our star sphere, and press play, that doesn't seem to do anything. Well, that's interesting. Or not. Let's have a look at something. Let's have a look at something here. Right, so I'm going to say 5 there. And that doesn't need to be 55. Whoa, interesting. Well, that is weird. Right, I'm just going to make sure that post-processing is basically correct. The size of it, anyway. And you'll notice that the closer this is to the ground, the worse it is. Right, if I do that, then it actually looks a bit better. Let's do the same with this one. Right. Now here's the weird thing. If we noticed before, when we looked at this, well, that looks okay now, right? And that actually looks okay. But it kind of looked to me like these were upside down. Now, wait a minute. See, that looks to me like it's upside down. Except it's kind of not. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to make that 200. And like that made absolutely zero difference to anything really. Which is interesting, of course. But the really weird thing is, if I bring that down, it really does change the colour completely, especially for that. I've got no idea why. Right, and the really strange thing is this one is absolutely perfect. Right, I've got no idea why this would change. I'm going to have to do a quick search on this, Google search. And see if we find anything. Okay, so this is weird. Okay, I've got no idea. Now, interesting thing, is this material, whatever material this is, does not change. Right? So let's change this one, or in fact better to change this one. Copper pipes. And look at that. It's absolutely fine. Well, I wouldn't say fine, but it's 10 times better. Right? And if we change this one to iron pipes, okay, so that one's more of a problem. But again, it seems to be getting all reflections. And the interesting thing here is if we actually go to steel pipes and drag these in, and those obviously are getting a lot of reflections. And the thing is, what we want to do here is do that. And if we map this along with our copper pipes, right, then we can see the difference. Right, so we can see the difference between them there. This is the copper pipes, and this is the other pipes. So the interesting thing would be here, that's interesting. Well, I guess we need to stop that. I'm guessing we can safely say that lighting and materials ain't my strong point, which I kinda knew anyway. Neutral light in map UE4. Right, I guess we're gonna have to follow this. Right. because I've got no idea why our... I mean, the thing is, right, these look fine. Under that light in there, right? And they look fine in there. Okay? Right, don't know what that's supposed to be. Right, so that looks okay. And obviously we're getting a reflection back. And that's kind of what we should have. Maybe this is what we should use as a cube map. Let's try that. Right. Skylight. Right, we'll go with that. Right. Now that is kind of believable, right? Because basically we're getting reflections from the ground, right? So I'm going to buy that. Right, now the interesting one here is going to be if we do like the copper sheet. And I'll tell you what we'll do is if we do that, and we drag that out a bit, then we get our steel pipes. Right, now the interesting part here is if we come down here, right, we're not worried about that. We'll say that. Yeah, we'll say use the instance mesh. That's a bit weird. Okay, we'll save that. And this isn't going too well. Now, to me, that is actually working properly, right? That is definitely working properly. And if we now drag on our copper pipes, you can see that these are looking much better, right? Especially the copper pipey one. Right, now I do understand why this is black. It's because these are really reflective and they're silver, right, and we're getting that reflection. But what we want to know is our iron is now looking better, and if our copper doesn't seem to be looking any better, what's to be said. Our iron does, but still doesn't look right. But we are kind of getting some kind of difference there. Now, what will be interesting here is if we go to the skylight, right, and we do that, well, that is an interesting thing. Let's go to HDR1. That's certainly looking a bit different. It certainly looks different when we actually that's strange. And again, studio lighting looks okay. And here's the really strange thing, right? See, if you look at the edge of the copper, you can see the copper. Right, so if I do that, you can definitely see the copper thing, the copperiness of it. And if I do this with the iron, that one goes bad, and that's because I think it's because of the reflections inside. Now what I'm going to do here is something a bit mad. I'm going to do a cube, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create like a wall round about it. Oops. Right, so we now kind of have, if I duplicate that, right, and if I duplicate that, and then I duplicate that, then we can do that. Right. Right, now in theory, interesting thing here would be to build the lighting and see what happens. This is going to be very, very strange indeed. So we'll try this and we'll see what happens. Right, we'll see what goes on when we build the lighting now. Right, so we're building the lighting. And that should be it. Building the reflections. Okay. Come on. Right, so what you got for me? Right, well you got something interesting. Not exactly what I was expecting, but in fact, tell you what, we'll just go with a point light. And that is kind of what I would expect. Right? That is kind of exactly what I would expect here. Right, now this one looks like the iron. And this one looks like the copper, but right, we'll click on this again. Yeah, this is kind of what I would expect. Call this to and we'll call this to, you see, as this brightens up, it's brightening the colour of our scene basically. So as we brighten it up, this just looks more and more white. Oh, we don't want to do that, I don't think. What's this one? Oh, we brought that down. No, we didn't. Right. Alright, so 0. And if we were to change this to like a sun type colour, these are actually looking okay. Right? If we bring this down to 8, that looks okay. So if I go in here, you'll notice that the copper looks good. Both the coppers look great. The steel looks okay, the iron not so much, but I can kind of understand this one. Right, but yeah, that looks okay. Anyway guys, I think I'm going to call it there, and I think this afternoon when I'm offline, I'm going to check on some neutral lighting and how to implement it. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the like and subscribe button, and if you check out the description, you'll find the Discord where you're welcome, and if you want to support the channel, then there's also the Patreon and my previous game on Steam, and even if you just add it to your wish list, that would help. And thanks for joining me. So bye bye for now and have a great afternoon. Bye bye for now.